The gentleman from Henrico, Mr. Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Gentleman, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I enjoyed listening to the gentleman from Scott, as I do all of the folks who give vignettes and share vignettes with us during morning hour. In the 8th grade, Sister Margaret was my teacher, and she said, whenever you're going to talk about what somebody just said, start with something that is constructive and is good. So I'll start that way. What Delegate Kilgore said about Medicaid needing reform is absolutely right, and I appreciate him making that point. But we also heard some speeches yesterday from the Majority Whip, Delegate Gilbert, the gentleman from Shenandoah, from Delegate Greason, and I was listening, as I do to everybody, carefully to what they said. Now, I'm wondering if in the 51 days that we've been here, if there's been any movement by any of the folks on this side over to the majority party side as far as Medicaid expansion or vice versa. I don't think there's been a modicum of movement one way or the other. But we keep getting up and talking about it, and that's good because I think we're speaking to our constituents, we're speaking to lobbyists, we're speaking to business folk who are carrying it out to the community. And we are entitled to our opinions, but not to our own facts. With respect to what Delegate Gilbert said, he commented on our newest member, Delegate Bloxham from the 100th District, and suggested that it's a referendum on Medicaid expansion. Fair enough. What about the other elections? We had 3 statewide elections, all won by people who decried any movement towards Medicaid expansion. They were proponents of it. We had 2 state Senate elections. Both of those people espoused and were proponents of Medicaid expansion. Does that mean that the delegate from Shenandoah would agree that the public is in favor of Medicaid expansion? I heard Delegate Greason speak, and he talked about the rough and tumble and the arm twisting that he received from the governor. Well, let's be candid, folks. Politics can be a little bit of a contact sport here. We throw elbows now and then. There is a certain amount of arm twisting, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb too far when I say I believe there's probably a little bit of arm twisting in the majority party side to stay in line. Could be wrong, but think it just might be possible. But look at this. Delegate Greason shared with us that the governor said, everybody hates your position denouncing Medicaid expansion. But, you know, we heard a different version from the governor. He said, listen, I sat down with the governor, I sat down with Delegate Greason, and I met with the people from Merck, and he said, no, I'm just trying to share with them what people in that district are saying. Here's what it distills down to right now. Here's the bottom line as I see it. We have members of Merck, both Republicans in the Senate and Democrats in the Senate, mostly Republicans in the House. We have 1 Democrat. And they have been working tirelessly to discuss this issue. And guess what? There is some compromise. There's some compromise. They call it the private option or Virginia marketplace. So let's be clear what's happening. The Republicans and the Democrats in the Senate have compromised. The Democrats, I've listened to my colleagues, they've compromised. There is one group of people that have said, according to what I'm reading in the paper, no, no, no. We will not change our position. Quote, it's hard to work with them when they say no, 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 no. And that's where we are. Now let's look at the people that are on Merck. Now they're my friends, but Delegate Landis, very articulate. Love listening to him. Delegate O'Bannon, Delegate Massey, Delegate Cox. Every person from the first day that we've been in here on January 8th have denounced Medicaid expansion, and there hasn't been one movement anywhere, in any degree. The Senate has. They've compromised. But those folks on Merck haven't. Now, let's look at something. I really enjoy listening to Delegates O'Bannon and Garrett. I like listening to their perspectives from their private industry as physicians. And both of them have used that position as doctors to denounce Medicaid expansion or the Virginia marketplace. But I was wondering what the Medical Society of Virginia thinks. The Medical Society of Virginia has their own House of Delegates that decides issue. And did you know, by a 2-to-1 margin, the Medical Society of Virginia, which comprises thousands of doctors, are in favor of the Virginia marketplace. I enjoy listening to my colleague from Henrico County, Delegate Morrissey, talking about business, because he's a businessman. Now, I was listening. I was wondering, what did the chambers of commerce feel? They are businessmen. I could not find a Virginia Chamber of Commerce or a local Chamber of Commerce that was not in favor of the Virginia marketplace. Delegate Anderson gave us a wonderful speech the other day about going door to door and what his people see. Again, I have a slightly different perspective. Take some of our urban districts. Take Norfolk, which has 13,170 people that have no insurance whatsoever. Or to the district south of mine, Petersburg, which has 16,000. Here's my view of the person that would benefit from the Virginia marketplace. Her name is Mary, and she's fictional. Mary is working full-time. She has 2 children, ages 1 and 7. She drives a 14-year-old car, and she gets into that car every day praying that when she turns it, it starts, and it gets her to work and gets the kids to daycare. She works 40 hours a week, and at the end of the day, she's thinking, do I work 1 extra hour to get time and a half, or do I go to daycare and get there on time so I don't have to pay the extra $20? And she doesn't have insurance. God forbid if she's sick, or if her child is sick and doesn't have insurance. What a catastrophe that would be. And she cannot wait until Friday when she finally has that week behind her. She's at home. She can take her breath and hope and then start all over again the following week. She does not go on vacation. She cannot avail herself of the type of insurance policy that we can in this chamber, and she just wants to make sure that her kids have insurance, that they're protected. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's the person that I see when we are discussing the Virginia marketplace and why we would not want to help those have-nots, those 250,000 or 400,000 people that do not have insurance, why we would not want them to have the availability of health care, I have no idea. Well, as Delegate Landis said at the beginning, no way, no time, no how, no day will I ever support it. Let me be clear. Unless there is some compromise from the other side, I can promise you, no way, no time, no day are the folks that have so far supported Medicaid expansion not going to agree. So if we don't have a meeting of the minds, if we don't agree with some of your Senate Republican colleagues, then we're going to be here for a long time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.